Employees of McDonald's, what secrets did you discover while working there? My first day on the job I was told to be on the lookout for the elderly gentleman who would try to sneak around the counter and pour the entire coffee pot into his mug while everyone was too busy to stop him. Depending on which one you work at, the parking lot is basically a meetup for druggies, drug dealers, and, at least where I was in New Mexico, people to meet up and have sex in their cars, as long as they kept their business to the middle of the night and didn't cause any serious problems. We were told not to call the cops or make a fuss, mostly because they'd come in and buy food after their shenanigans. Soda and mini pies were really popular with H-addicts. What I later found out is that management was actually told to let it slide by corporate, since everyone higher up was aware of how much money the night crowd brought in. I got to see many drug deals. I'm convinced I saw at least one arms deal, but I of course have no way of verifying that. Midnight shifts were draining but so much fun. The kitchen staff is cut by half but the people who order are so funny. Sauces for sandwiches have the craziest dispensers. Ketchup and mustard are in these really rudimentary plastic funnel things that have a paddle in the handle. When you squeeze it, gravity pushes just the right amount of sauce through holes. Doesn't seem like it'd work well, but it does if you apply the proper amount of jiggling. The mac sauce, mayo, and tartar though, they're in basically cork tubes that get loaded into basically cork guns. You pull the trigger on the handle and a really satisfying ratchety clanking delivers a powerfully saucy surprise for the awaiting buns. Problem is, it takes a bit of finesse because if you hit the trigger too hard you'll blow the bun and the wad of creme right through the condiment station and onto the wall 8 feet away. No joke. The first couple tartar splurts of a fresh tube came out so hot I'd fire a shot or two in the trash to avoid premature splatulation during the lunch rush. The first salvo, properly elevated and adjusted for wind, could clear the whole kitchen and take out the McInfantry on the cash register. Premature splatulation. Beautiful. The pickles are surprisingly aerodynamic. They stick to walls and, if you have the stones, manage shirts pretty well. Yet, they fly amazing. Pretty sure me and my old crew cost that store about $1k the entire time we worked there just throwing them things. LOL. Worked there in high school. Found out that if you put the middle of a Mac bun in the fryer and then add soft serve and strawberry topping, it tastes just like a funnel cake. Custom creations were the best part of working there. Cheeseburger bun fried, add the chai latte powder, cinnamon donut. I worked there when I was in high school. Not a secret, but I hadn't known much about franchises before then. I hadn't realized that McDonald's could vary quite a bit in quality and professionalism based on who the owners were and what type of management workplace they set up. I worked at a really good one, with good management, but similar crap. I have 2 McDonald's near me, both relatively same distance. The one I usually go to is more crowded but I feel that the food is better prepared and the drinks taste right. I've been to the other McDonald's before, not as crowded, but the nuggets tend to have a stale texture and the Coke has this weird bubblegum type aftertaste. LOL. Former employee here. I found out that, when making 5 gallons of sweet tea, an entire 4-pound bag of sugar goes in. Sandwiches with round egg use real, cracked eggs. Folded and scrambled come from packaged goods in the freezer or fridge. I also had a manager that insisted more people purchase filet-o-fish when it's raining out because they subconsciously associate the watery weather with fish. Anyway, he did some research by pouring through sales of filet-o-fish for months and months and comparing it to weather data for each day. Turns out he found something like a 3% increase on rainy days and was very pleased with himself. I absolutely love that guy's commitment. My manager used to be on my back all of the time for giving out too much sauce. He tried telling me the limit is 1 per meal. Our store did 1 sauce for 4 and 6 piece nuggets, 2 for 10 and 3 for 20. The official deodorizing spray they gave us is the most pleasant thing I've ever smelled in my entire life. Even now, I wish I could smell it again. Dehydrated onions. You put them in a metal thing and just add water. The thing is they still taste great. But I was shocked and happy that I didn't have to go cut onions. Those onions can be turned pink if you use hot water instead, or at least the hot water at the store I was at. I worked at McDonald's when they first introduced sweet tea and remember that it was brewed in a large bucket mixing hot water with a full bag of granulated sugar. It makes me sick to think about, but I still sometimes crave that disgustingly sweet tasty garbage. Somebody elsewhere in the thread mentioned it's £4 per 5 gallons. Man, reading these I am wondering why my McDonald's was so boring. We didn't spit on anything. The stuff that needed to be kept clean was kept clean. If it wasn't required it would be filthy. The ice cream machine worked fine. Food wasn't undercooked. On occasion it was overcooked. Employing high school kids, of course they are gonna make some mistakes, but nothing too bad. Worked at McDonald's Australia. Back when we had the old cheeseburger buns. Before McDonald's got healthy we used to scrunch up the buns and deep fry in the fry vat. Covered them in sugar, and you end up with something tasting like donuts. Cool story. I worked there in my teens for a couple years. Actually worked at 2 different locations, so I saw the difference in standards. At one store there was a guy who always rode his bike to the store every single day to hang out. He was on the spectrum. Slow, and McDonald's was kind of his castle. Everyone knew him and he got a lot of free food from the employees. He was a daily part of the shift for us. Anyway, one day he had one too many root beers. This was a thing he normally did, because he pretended the root beers were like real beers and he would get drunk. Everyone kind of would go along with it because he was funny and never did anything too wild. Unfortunately this day he took it a little too far and ended up in the parking lot throwing bottles at cars driving by. Long story short, guy was arrested and he was banned from that McDonald's for life. Kinda felt bad about it because that McDonald's was his favorite place to be. He would pull through at 3 or 4 on his bike and stay and hang out with employees until like 8 every single day. Before that incident one of the managers even made him his own little parking spot for his bicycle. He was happy as heck. I think about that guy sometimes. Hope he's found himself a new McDonald's. LOL. For the one I worked at in high school, burgers are kept in a warming area for no more than 15 minutes, then thrown out and new ones are made. You get a free meal from anything except the salads. Meal is a sandwich, medium fries and a medium drink. At the end of the night all the cooked meat is thrown out. If you want you can use it to make burgers and take them home with you. Specific tools and grill section for cooking chicken versus beef to make sure they don't cross for those customers who don't eat beef. The Hindu co-workers were very vocal about this rule if you work the grill. Regarding the free meal, I remember it was a free meal every 4 hours. Ultimately, you could have 2 free meals during an 8-hour shift. So many affairs and love triangles. Also I don't know if this counts, but the food was not gross at all. Like our kitchen was super clean. Our meat was frozen and cheap but it was never gross. Our veggies were always good. The only thing gross was the fact that if you worked the french fries, you would go home covered in oil, but the actual oil wasn't gross. Maybe I just worked at a nicer McDonald's, but we weren't in the nicest of areas. Raw McRibs look hella weirdo. I didn't have a car so I would ride my bike to and from the job at McDonald's. And at the end of the shift my shoes would constantly slip off the pedals because they were so thoroughly coated in fry grease. Anyone who says they messed with food was lying, unless it's something boring like, we left patties in the warmers too long. One thing I was shocked by, this was pre-internet forums being widely used so it was just info from people working there, was that no burgers are flipped. You put your 10, 1 patties or 4, 1 patties on the grill and hit a couple buttons and a second grill comes down and both sides are cooked for you. I loved scooping a big tower of them off the grill to plop into the warming trays. Also I worked in one in the desert and sometimes our AC would crap out but only for the back so you'd be sweating over the stupid grill and your co-workers would be hiding in the freezer. I started working at MCDS when I was 15. The secret is that it's probably one of the cleanest restaurants in your city. The standardizations and routine practices leave little room for employees to think for themselves. It was a way cleaner restaurant than the $30-50 per person place I would work at later. Exactly. I worked at McDonald's 10 years ago and eventually went to work at a high-end restaurant in a fancy part of my city. I'm still amazed at how clean my McDonald's was compared to the fancy restaurant. Not really a secret, but when I am on rap, Wrapping the food. And I get nuggets, I might slip an extra 2-3 because I like the thought of someone getting hype over an extra nug or 2. I had a complaint once because they found 10 pieces of nuggets in their 9-piece nugget box. They complained they didn't have enough sauce for the extra nugget and demanded an extra sauce as well. We were dumbfounded. The McDonald's that I worked at kept a very clean kitchen and front line. I had worked in restaurants that were privately owned and the food standards, throwing out old food and cleanliness, just weren't the same. I was very surprised with how much they constantly made us clean. My McDonald's was one of the cleanest kitchens I've worked in. We also had alarms that would go off every X minutes that were to remind us to wash our hands. Unless we were busy, our managers would stop us and make us wash our hands, or at least the next time we got a minute between customers we'd have to stop whatever we were doing and wash our hands. 10 to 1 burger patties. Every 10, 1 is 1/10 of a pound of beef. These go in most of the smaller burgers. A McDouble and a Big Mac have the same amount of beef to them. The difference between them is the Mac sauce instead of ketchup and mustard, the middle bun, sesame seeds, and lettuce. The difference between a double cheeseburger and a McDouble is 1 slice of cheese. McRibs are the messiest sandwich we had to make. In addition to cooking it, the McRibs stewed in their sauce in the Universal Heating Cabinet, UHC, until used. That required a special pair of tongs because it was pork, and cross-contamination applies to religious stuff as well. No matter how careful you were, you always made a mess. Burrito mix came pre-cooked and frozen. You wrapped a slice of cheese with the stuff and it was put in a queuing oven, which was a glorified microwave until hot. That's it. No real cooking done. Breakfast breads was the easiest back-end position during breakfast. Things just took time. McGriddle buns were baked frozen then thrown into the queuing oven to make them soft. Biscuits were queued then baked. Bagels and muffins were toasted. McDonald's uses beef fat, if I recall correctly, for their fryers. When the oil was new, it was literally white until it got hot. A patch of sweet tea took 5 pounds of sugar for 5 gallons of tea. You can feel the cavities as you made it. Grilled chicken took the longest to cook and was kinda a pain. Some breasts could be in the UHC for hours before finally tossed. And that's all I got for now. Pretty sure they stopped using beef fat years ago. I can never forget working breakfast. Those sandwiches need to be cheese, then meat, then egg. If the cheese is next to the egg, it makes the egg slip out. Same order at Dunkin' Donuts when I worked there. I worked at MCD in high school. This was the 90s. The store I worked at had incredibly high standards. I was taught proper customer service skills, how to de-escalate a situation, time management, cleaning skills, people skills, and so much more. I thrived there. BC I was lacking adult role models anywhere else in my life. My managers made sure I was caught up on my homework, helped me study, made sure I was eating even though it was fast food. It was better than no food. I made some of the best friends I've ever had and am still friends to this day. I can truthfully say working there saved my life in high school. MCDS has a very thorough training program for managers. I was fast-tracked to management and at 18 they put me through Hamburger University, the MCDS training site in Illinois. That was quite an experience. I ended up leaving MCDS at 19 to go be a young adult and try a new jobs. I don't have any trade secrets to share really. I'll just say this. Don't knock the kids people working fast food. Don't make fun of them, laugh at them, or make them feel bad. They are learning valuable skills that will serve them well later in life. They are doing what they can to earn money. They're serving you the junk food you want while learning how to grow up to be a successful adult. Sure, not everyone fits this description, but more people do than you think. I would add that we shouldn't slander people for working anywhere. Money doesn't grow on trees, and especially gastronomy is a really hard line of work. Imo. I worked McDonald's in high school for a couple of months before going to BK. McDonald's had more stuff to make things faster, like the cool ketchup and mustard dispensers and fry dispenser. I liked working at both places though, mostly kids my age. I had a blast making $5.15 HR. Dang man, I'm in California, so minutes wage when I worked minutes wage was like $12 because everything is so goddamn expensive. If you want a good replacement Big Mac sauce, 3 big tablespoons of good quality mayo, about a single good tablespoon of ketchup, 2 teaspoons of gherkin relish, 1 tablespoon or so of pickle juice, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half to 1 teaspoon of turmeric. Mix till thoroughly combined. Leave in the fridge to let the ingredients make friends with one another overnight. Order an apple pie and a cup of ice cream and run that sob through the McFlurry mixer together. You can thank me later. Now I want to. I'm surprised at how decent everything sounds. I've worked at several pricey restaurants with deeply questionable practices. I guess McDonald's has it down to science. If too many McDonald's have poor cleaning, then all of a sudden 10,000 articles will pop up talking about you won't believe how disgusting McDonald's really is. Therefore there's a lot of reason for corporates to keep each franchise up to cleaning standards. Is there any official directive to not give sweet and sour sauce? No matter which McDonald's I go to in my area, I ask for sauce and even offer to pay for it. They add it to my order, and then I still have to argue with the person handing my food about giving me the sauce because I ordered a burger and fries and not chicken nuggets. Pretty much every policy like that is up to the local store. When I worked there I think we'd give you one for free, as long as you ordered some actual food, but if you wanted more than that you had to pay something like 10 cents each. Probably the counter person assembling the order figured they hit the sweet and sour sauce button by mistake because the order didn't have nuggets. That I can stuff 3 or 4 hot apple pies in my mouth before anybody noticed that I was doing it while boxing the hot apple pies. The cups of ranch, like for nuggets, is different than the ranch that goes on wraps and sandwiches. I believe that kind is buttermilk. I think most McDonald's have discontinued the wraps though, sadly. Fun fact, I met the love of my life at McDonald's. We were both teenagers and closed together 5 nights a week. Him and I had the best work ethic because we both had worked at McDonald's for a few years, so we knew the closing procedures like the back of our hands. Every time I ordered a wrap, he'd make sure to grab a ranch cup and use that instead. Always told me it was made with extra love. Cue teenage crap. Before we knew it, we got an apartment together. Months turned into years. We planned our lives together. Almost eloped. I couldn't picture myself with any other person. Neither could he. Sadly, he passed away unexpectedly last year. I was heartbroken, obviously, but it forced me to take a good look at my life and change what I didn't like. Now every time I think of McDonald's, I get flashbacks that take me back to such a blissful time. Such good memories. Definitely wasn't the greatest job, but knowing how to do the procedures in a smart way and working with fun people, who also work smarter not harder, really made it one of my favorite jobs. I did not expect this secret when I clicked on this. This is beautiful. I'm going to think of you on and off when I go to McDonald's now. Nothing much honestly. I worked there for over a year. Everything is cleaned properly. No one messes with food, because there's always a manager nearby. The food is rather fresh, etc. While a lot of the stuff is frozen, that doesn't make it bad. Only thing is, the tea is very easy to screw up. It's easy to accidentally leave the spout open and have tea covering the floor. Once we had a bag of coffee break and it got into the ice and into the tea and we didn't realize right away, so some people got some coffee in their tea. When it comes to allergies though, everyone I worked with was very diligent. If someone had a bad allergy to, like, bread, we would remove our gloves, wash our hands, arms, put on new gloves and make sure that the item was okay. Given that was probably the case because we didn't want a lawsuit. Another secret is how much food McDonald's wastes. We had a bucket to toss the food in, and managers had to count it at the end of the day. It was disgusting to see how much perfectly edible food was being thrown out. Luckily, if your manager is cool, you could ask to eat it in the back quickly. This was especially the case with pies. Frankly, the company was fine. They offered to give you scholarships, pay for you to get your diploma if you didn't have one, always paid above minimum wage, though sometimes barely, and it was easy to get a promotion if you asked and put in the work. That being said, I still hate corporations, and the franchise owners were buttholes who ignored a bunch of stuff. Customers threw their food at me if something was wrong. That is, not enough salt, and I had minor burns from it. I was told I was a massive C and should KMS. List goes on. Oh, also, you're not allowed to take tips. There is a glitch with the McDonald's app. There is a deals section and it usually has a coupon for a free cookie or free apple pie with any order. Add it to your order and you get the free cookie. Then, the next time you order from the app, just reorder your last meal. You can add subtract whatever you want, but the free cookie will still be there. The glitch is that you can add another free cookie from the deals section. And now you have 2 free cookies. Evidently there is no cap to this. I now get 5 free cookies with each order. I stopped at 5 because I felt that any more than that would be overkill. You are genius. Not really a secret, more of a story. One time someone replaced the chocolate syrup in the shake machine with barbecue sauce on accident because the bottles are similar. They're labeled differently but it still happened. We found out because a few people complained that the chocolate shakes were sour. We remade them for a couple people and they moved on, but one lady just wouldn't let it go. My manager tasted the shake and was like WTF, then looked and we saw the culprit. Had to clean the line after that so we didn't have chocolate shakes for a minute. Worst mix-up I had as a customer was me ordering my iced tea half cut and it was accidentally cut with iced coffee. People would do just about anything to get their hands on Beanie Babies in the late 90s. We had a rule that you had to buy a meal to get the Beanie Babies, so people would come and order 6 meals then throw away the food and leave with the toys. There was a similar thing with the Pokemon cards not too long ago. Get a cheaper burger dressed as a Mac to save money on buying a Big Mac. You can ask them to throw an apple pie into the McFlurry so you now have a pie McFlurry. The big breakfast usually is made with scrambled eggs. You can ask them to be sunny side up as well. If the fries are yellow brown, the oil hasn't been changed in a long time. If they come out white very pale yellow, they are made in fresh oil. 1 pie is the same cost as 2 pies. Always buy 2. Cause why the frick not? You can ask for leaf lettuce instead of the shredded stuff. Sometimes it tastes better on certain sandwiches. The eggs are real. McDonald's is the biggest buyer of chicken and eggs in the world. Tim Hortons eggs are made of powder. Back when I worked for McDonald's, I was surprised to see how many rumors that were spread were false. Most of them, IMHO, McDonald's, depending on location, as a whole is pretty much okay. Also, the ice cream machines are just not cleaned properly and display dumb error codes nobody but an authorized dude knows. So blame the machine maker because they provide bad instructions and no troubleshooting help. A couple of Mormon missionary guys came in one time and ordered their food, and also ordered French fries with no salt. So the fries had to be fried specially, with no salt. They told me it was their tactic to get hot fries. All drinks come in as a syrup and are carbonated on the spot, hence why it can taste flat sometimes. There used to be a way to get a discount code for every second that the timer was running on a coupon, but they patched that in 2017. The ice cream machine at my place usually broke down because people mixed up the milkshake bags with blue caps and the ice cream bags with red caps while filling the machine. Mismanagement is surprisingly common and corporate doesn't give a single crap as long as there is sufficient profit coming in. The ice cream machine at my place usually broke down because people mixed up the milkshake bags with blue caps and the ice cream bags with red caps while filling the machine. Worked at a Chick-fil-A years ago and someone mixed up the coleslaw dressing with the ice dream mix. Was disgusting to clean. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.